Since the end of December or early December of this year, Elon indicated that Tesla began production in the Austin facility. The mystery then is if they're at about 1,000 vehicles a day, we're now in March. And the question or mystery is, where are the 100,000 vehicles that have been produced by Tesla? And we know the storage facility within the manufacturing facility there is full at something like 2,000 or 3,000 vehicles. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. We also want to thank our Patreon supporters. If you enjoy the show and would like more useful information on investing and trading, please take time to join us on Patreon on a daily basis. We offer new insights that will enhance your ability to invest and trade better when it comes to Tesla. So we also want to note this is a copyrighted broadcast. Any use of the material presented is prohibited. Now, there's something that happened, which is I had a chance to visit Tesla's facilities in Tysons Corner, Virginia. One of the things we do typically once a month at least is to do something I call parking lot purloined, which is you kind of run footage of the parking lot surrounding one of the service centers to see what's going on. In particular, I've had a chance to see service centers in different parts of the country, and a lot of them actually have been picked clean, just empty, because as we know, Teslas are selling extremely well. The amount of orders has gone up. The backlog has increased, especially with oil prices rising as they have. So one of the things that happened was that I'm going to be running a loop, a video with some cutout shots in this video. So what typically happens at a surface facility, particularly this one, because we've been studying it carefully for the last 4 years or so, is basically when you come up to the building, the first thing you see in front of the building is usually vehicles that are there as test vehicles. So usually the test fleet is anywhere from 1 or 2 to maybe as high as 6 or 7 vehicles. And those test vehicles are potential customers coming in, getting a feel for what they look like. So that's the front of the building. Right next to that will be vehicles that are queuing partially for the service facilities. So that's the front of the building. The side of the building, in this case, the right side of the building, if you're facing, is typically vehicles that are in for repair and service. I particularly am intrigued by this area because in the case of Tysons Corner facility, they moved all of the sort of heavy body damage vehicles to a facility in Maryland near Baltimore. And so I was surprised to see at least one vehicle that had serious body damage that was sitting there. And this reminds me of the fact that one of the challenges of being a Tesla owner is on a lot of other vehicles, there's all kinds of data flowing that'll let you know typical wrecks people have and other issues. And it's hard to gather that on Tesla because they sort of keep everything in-house, including all the repairs. So all that data is captured there, and it's difficult to sort of benefit from any kind of knowledge of that. So after the area where you see repair vehicles that are in a queue, in essence, to get repaired, behind that are typically employee vehicles parked. This is the right rear and sort of rear of the building. Occasionally you'll see perhaps vehicles owned by employees of Tesla, along with maybe an extension of the service facility into this area. Now, as we come around the building, we now have, in this facility, multiple storage bays. As you'll see, there's a gym mixed into it. But there are some very strange things that were going on in the storage bays, which I was actually very surprised by and could not figure out what it was until I had a chance to maybe have a conversation with a Tesla former employee to understand what I was seeing. So particularly, I'd like to encourage you to pay attention to the fact that there are actually two storage bays primarily that we're going to be showing you. We'll do it with photos, we'll do it with video, but you'll notice a few things. Number one, they're full. I saw this and I was kind of stunned because I was like, now wait a second. If there's such a large backlog, why are the storage bays full? And there are a lot of people waiting for the vehicles that are in there. So that was the number one thing that popped up. The second thing that popped up in my mind was the fact that not only were they full, but it was dark in there. So what typically happens is there's a cycling process between the prep facility where they work on cars and people prepare them or repair them for delivery. And the cars are being shuttled by the mechanics between these two facilities. So you need all the lights on so you can actually get to the cars. The other thing about it is that typically the cars are arranged so there's an easy in, easy out. So there's nothing blocking doors, etc. In this case, as you'll notice, there's so many cars in the first storage facility. There's actually a Model 3 there it's blocking the door access to that facility. So they're having kind of an overflow problem of vehicles there. The third thing that was kind of strange is in our second storage bay, you'll notice that the way the cars are arranged, you can get those cars in and out, but they're having a space problem that mandates that you do things like block cars in. So usually the spaces are arranged in a manner so you can get vehicles in and out readily. And in this case, the vehicles are on long-term storage. So as a result, there is no in and out. It's just going to be in and waiting. And the question was, what are we waiting for? So the answer, all of these data points for me were the answer to a big question, and you may want to take a look at your service facility as well. So basically what happens is that there's usually a stack up of cars waiting for customers to pick them up and then drive off. And in this case, there's a stack up of cars in storage, but there are very few, if any, that are being prepped for delivery to customers. And so that was the question of why this was. And there's a gap in my understanding of what was going on and why, but I think that we have an answer to that question. And here's what it is. The storage facility in Austin has 2,500 vehicle capacity. Now, what's been happening is there've been trucks that were leaving that facility. And the question is, where are those trucks going with those cars? The answer you could say is that there's a giant outdoor storage facility someplace or a giant indoor storage facility someplace. And then those vehicles would be stored and then shipped, systematically to staging area for sale. I believe, based on what I've seen and what you've just seen in all the video we're showing you, what's actually going on is that Tesla is trucking or shipping Austin-produced vehicles proximate, either inside or in storage, right near where those vehicles are going to be delivered. And in the case of Tyson's Corner, there are other data points that are a surprise. For example, there's a Chantilly location that was opened by Tesla, and it cut the fleet in half, a number of vehicles being delivered from the Tyson's Corner facility. Another reason why there should be few, if any, vehicles there. So what it was explained to us is that as soon as Tesla has approval, the vehicles stored there will go from being test vehicles, they'll be recategorized as complete vehicles ready to be delivered to customers. So as a result, this answers the question of where did 100,000 vehicles go that were produced in the Austin facility? And the answer is they're in long-term storage at your local dealer. And they won't they're actually a mirage. They don't exist until the approval comes through for the new design with the 4680 battery. And once that approval is given, those vehicles are going to suddenly show up for opportunity for those who ordered vehicles to take delivery on them. So, obviously this has not been an official announcement. I think that this revelation will cause chaos, because what if you ordered a vehicle hoping to get a 4680 and you didn't? You were told you were getting a Fremont vehicle. There are all these problems that this creates. And so I look forward to, hey, you're going to send me a note and say you're wrong for these reasons. Please articulate those reasons, because the cars are there. There's a shortage of cars. There are a lot of customers waiting, and these vehicles are not being sold. So there's a reason for that. It could be that there are large numbers of defects. It could be that they just don't feel like selling them. They just want to stack up inventory and have it sitting there. But I generally believe that we're in a great winning situation relative to building inventory on Model Ys coming out. Now, this raises the other question. I've got a Patreon supporter that's been quizzing because he has a Model 3 on order, and he was hoping to get a 4680 battery in it. And I had suggested perhaps, an Austin discussion might not be a bad idea for that service facility. But the way things are going, they've run out of space down there, probably ran out of space a month, maybe two ago. And the question is, where were those vehicles going to go? So the interesting question for you is, can you negotiate your way into getting the 4680Y versus getting the 2170Y? Because it's still not approved. It should happen soon, but there's a lot of inventory sitting out there. So it's our belief that this solves the mystery of where are the Model Ys that are all being produced by Austin, and the answer is long-term storage right next to you. And once approved, you're going to be able to get that car even though you didn't realize you were sitting right next to it as you went in for service or visited your local service facility. I would ask those of you who are regular viewers to just take a peek inside the storage back end of some of your facilities to see if there's a lot of cars sitting there, because it's a lot cheaper for Tesla to store at its own facility than it is elsewhere. And all the inventory coming in currently of 2170 Model Ys are going to be sort of hooked up and shipped right away. Any rate, just a reminder, we just have some SpaceX shares if there's interest. We also wanted to note that this is a copyrighted broadcast, and we look forward to feedback on this show, even though when we first saw what was going on, it didn't quite make sense. And as you'll notice, we don't talk to the employees at the facilities because they get fired if they talk to us. So whatever we deduce is to our benefit. Any rate, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Also wanted to encourage you to consider our health tips. I have a list below of health tips we've been given and recommended to consider. I've gotten away from my leg lifts and noticed some knee issues, and so I just wanted to remind you 25 leg lifts per leg with a 5-pound weight is what one of our doctors, Dr. Dinesh from University of Michigan, had recommended, and encourage you to consider it, because I think you'll notice stronger knee muscles to support knee health, so it won't have to be replaced as you age. Any rate, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Tschüss, au revoir, à la hit road, Hoda Hafez, Strauss, Russian, Ni Hao Ma, Chinese, Konbanwa, Japanese, Asante, Swahili, Hey Do, Swedish, G'day, our friends in Australia, and in Italy we say Arrivederci, and in Jamaica we say Enough respect, walk good man. Thanks for joining us, have a great day, and bye for now.